Hi, my name is Merlandi.
Hi, Karen.
Karen, nice to meet you. So what brings you in today?
I've found that I'm really struggling with this need to please people.
Okay.
Um, I know it's been my entire life. When I was born, my dad uh, told the nurses to give me back to the Indians,
Oh, okay.
and because my mom's Native American um, heritage,
Okay.
and so he said, just give her back to the Indians, and I felt like most of my life that I was trying to please my dad because he was very hostile and angry and just very had a lot of demands. I couldn't, if I got in trouble, it wasn't, time out, go to your room. No, it was the belt or the switch or a fly swatter.
Okay.
And so it was really difficult. So I found myself really trying to behave in a way that would be pleasing to him so that I wouldn't get in trouble. But I was also trying to please my mom
Mm-hmm.
and then my family,
Mm-hmm.
who my family, my aunts, uncles, and everything thought that I wasn't going to amount to anything but maybe being a welfare mom. And that's not disparaging someone who's been on welfare. It's just that's what they thought I was going to be. They didn't see me doing anything with my life, going to school, having a career, and just even to this day, they aren't proud of me for the accomplishments I've made. Getting my bachelor's degree, working on my master's degree, the job that I have, it just doesn't seem to be enough to make them happy.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like you've been dealing with a lot of um, stressful situations with your family, trying to please your dad, trying to please your sisters, your mother, and it seems like no matter what you do, nothing is at the level that meets their approval. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, it is. I'm never good enough. You know, um, Even at church, I feel like I'm not good enough for the people in the church.
Okay.
Um, I've had people that will correct me and scold me, and I'm an adult, and they want to treat me like a child. And I had aspirations, and they go, "Oh, that's just silly. You'll never get that done."
Okay.
And that was constantly, and it's pretty sad when you get that from church people. It's bad enough getting it from your family,
Right.
but then you've got church people putting you down, saying you're not going to amount to anything. You're not worth anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're just, oh, that's just Karen, you know. And that's hard. And even with my husband, he's awesome and he's very encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And he tries to tell me that, I see all these things in you, Karen. You're doing wonderful and you're great, but I don't feel wonderful or great. You know, I will critique myself so I can get that out of the way before somebody else does, because I I don't want them to be displeased with me. So if I go ahead and just admit I was wrong, then they don't have to verbalize it, and then I don't have to feel that I didn't please them.
Okay. So let's explore that because we've talked about pleasing other people,
Mhm.
your parents, your family, and we've talked about how there are people within your community where you felt like maybe you should have gotten some support, like with fellow church goers,
Mhm.
and you weren't getting that from them. But then you do have someone. You have your husband who does encourage you, right?
Yes.
And he is there to be your support person, to not just encourage on a surface level, but he recognizes the accomplishments that you've made. Um, but then you said that you're also now one of those people who you're not pleasing. So you've taken on that role of being the displeased with yourself.
Yes.
Now, how does that make you feel that now you are that person?
It's hard. I mean, it's difficult. I even do things uh, so my husband won't be displeased with me. And he'll say, honey, stop second guessing me. Don't, why? Why did you say that? And I mean, I have this feeling that if I go ahead and point out what's wrong, that takes it out of your hands. If I go ahead and say, no, Karen, you're wrong, you messed up, that takes the power out of the other person's hand to say it to me.
Okay, so if I'm understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you are now the displeased person, that is a source of power for you. You're regaining some control.
Um, I feel like I'm taking the control away from the other person. Not so much that I have the power, but I'm taking that power away from them, and it's a defense mechanism. If I take their power away, then they can't hurt me. It doesn't empower me because I'm still feeling like I need to please them,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have that power to tell me that I didn't displease them. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I understand. So you're disarming the people around you.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. And it makes it a lot easier to deal with. It doesn't hurt as much if I go ahead and point out the problems and point out where I failed without letting them do it.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
When in this disarmament of the people around you, so you are taking the initiative of criticizing yourself, being self-critical. You're taking that power away from them, and as you mentioned, it doesn't make you feel any more powerful.
No.
So how is that? How does that play into your emotions and how you continue to deal with these family members and these people in your life who are not pleased with you?
Mm-hmm.
You've disarmed them, but you're not feeling the strength.
It doesn't hurt as much.
Okay.
So their rejection, their lack of appreciation is the wrong word. Their lack of just seeing my self-worth doesn't hurt as much
Mhm.
if I take that power away from them. So, I mean, and I do it with teachers, I do it with people at work, and unfortunately, I even find myself doing it with my clients, so that, because I have to do everything right, so
Okay.
that they aren't displeased with me, because then they can go to my boss and say, hey, Karen's not doing her job, Karen did this, Karen did that. And when they have done that, then I'm worried that my boss is going to come to me and say, hey, you're fired because this client complained about you. And I mean, so far they've been like, it's a client, we know them, they always act like that. They're just mad because you called them on something.
Okay.
But even hearing that, I'm still feeling like I need to be on my toes and be perfect, so that when my boss does come to me and say, hey, Karen, this was said, then they know, because I'm so perfect
Mm-hmm.
at my job, that they can automatically discount it.
Okay. So it seems to me like the relationship that you have with your father, not being satisfied or pleased or approving of anything it seems like you've been, even your accomplishments, has put you in a position where you've set, is it such a high expectation of yourself, or is it that you've lessened your expectations of yourself? yourself of what you can accomplish?
I think in a lot of ways I've lessened it. I aim high. I aim high. I aim for this master's degree, and I want to work with different populations. I want to work with people of Native American ancestry. I want to work with those that have been victims of a crime and PTSD. So I have these aspirations, but then I have this, well, I'm probably not going to make it. I'm probably not going to get that done. I'm probably not going to get to do that. I'm probably not going to get to reach those career goals. Something is going to change where I don't reach those. So it's weird. I reach for it, but then I don't have that expectation to actually get there.
Okay. So it sounds like the expectations or lack of expectation from your family, from who's supposed to be in your support system, is now transferred to you, and you have taken on the same viewpoints.
I think so, yes. I think I'm just so used to it being that way that now I'm seeing myself that way.
Okay. Now, but you have your husband.
I do.
Now, and he tells you that you're doing well. Are you discounting his approval?
I keep thinking it's just because he loves me and he's trying to be encouraging and supportive, and that he's just saying these things because he's my husband and it's expected of him to say nice, oh no honey, you're doing great, and to kind of buff me up. That's kind of like his job, and it's a weird dynamic. I mean, it's very comforting to know, but then I've got this in the back of my head. He's just saying that because he loves me and because he's my husband and he's trying to encourage me, and so it's kind of a juggling act, juggling various emotions. After today's class, I texted him and later talked to him and said, oh, the instructor pointed out that I did this really well, but then I messed up. I did these mistakes. And he goes, well, honey, you're going to do that. You're just learning. And I'm going, no, I made some mistakes. I messed up. I asked a question when I shouldn't have, and then I took the direction a different way. And, well, you're going to do that. That's fine. That's what you're there for. So I'm like, yeah, I did this really good. The instructor liked it. But then I had to bring in the mistakes I made. I have to, I make sure I get those in there so that he knows I did mess up a couple times.
Okay.
So
it just sounds like you've had so many experiences of many different people in your life being very critical of you, being displeased, not valuing you as a person and your accomplishments and what you've been able to do, that it's hard for you when you do hear someone approve of something, that you're very skeptical and you're very critical of that. And it's hard for you to accept it.
Yes, it is. Yes. It's difficult. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure you're talking to the right person? It's pretty bad when your guidance counselor tells you your senior year in high school that the only thing you're suitable for is manual labor, that you will not accomplish anything else. I mean, that's pretty devastating when your guidance counselor tells you that you're not capable of doing anything other than working in a factory, which there's nothing demeaning about that, but I felt like he just eliminated any possibility that I could do more. I've got plenty of family that have worked in warehouses and factories, and so there's nothing to be ashamed about, but even at that point I had goals that I wanted to do more with myself. And for him to say, oh, and he laughed in front of the whole class and said, the only thing you're worth doing is manual labor. That was hard, and that crushed those dreams that I had. And so I floundered for numerous years until I finally was able to pick myself up and actually do something.
Okay. Well, it does sound like, Karen, from what I'm hearing, despite the negative that you've received from different people, um, and that probably crushed your hope for quite some time. It sounds like you've been able to find your calling and to rise above that, that burden, that maybe sense of despair, that there's nothing that you could accomplish. And you found your calling and you're pursuing your dreams. So that's that's hopeful, and that gives you hope in and of itself. The fact that
Right.
you're, continuing through your graduate program. Okay. Well, I do thank you for coming to see me today and for opening up about these different feelings. And I hope in our next session that we'll be able to see how you've progressed, and we'll continue from there.
I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.